Petty Officer Liz Murray brings us our next story concerning the 40th anniversary of the Gulf of Tonkin. On August 2, 1964, USS Maddox was conducting reconnaissance patrols off the coast of North Vietnam. 3 North Vietnamese motor torpedo boats sped towards Maddox from an island nearby. Maddox was forced to open fire and defend itself, sinking 2 boats and forcing the last to retreat. This marked the beginning of the longest conflict the United States would fight in its history.
USS C. Turner Joy and Maddox were in the Gulf of Tonkin when radar images indicated they were being approached by speeding vessels. Both destroyers fired repeatedly into the stormy night.
The Lyndon Johnson administration then used that as a reason to pass a resolution through Congress, which was written in a rather open-ended fashion, which gave the President of the United States authority to take what actions necessary.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
The Johnson administration used that as a rationale for a dramatic escalation as far as numbers of troops are concerned and offensive activities, particularly airstrikes in North Vietnam. That resolution is still very controversial to this day. Historians argue about whether there was an actual attack or not, and if so, how serious it was.
Senator John McCain served in the U.S. Navy for 22 years as a naval aviator, and he witnessed firsthand the impact of the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. Another veteran who served in Vietnam as a major was retired General Alfred Gray.
Gulf of Tonkin was a major incident and a major operational effort in an area where we were conducting clandestine and covert operations off the coast of North Vietnam. You can argue or debate about what happened or what not happened, what didn't happen, but there was a lot of information, good information, that indicated that our people would be attacked, and we took appropriate actions.
Despite opposing views about the resolution, both Senator McCain and General Gray understood the actions required by the military. The Vietnam conflict forced the Navy and Marine Corps to improve combat capabilities.
We began to work on more precision-guided delivery of weapons, and at the end of the war we had a much more accurate capability than we had at the beginning.
In the Marines, we pretty much kept the same structure because our Commandant then, General Shoup, thought that coming from the sea is complex enough, but what he did direct is a full focus on irregular warfare, guerrilla warfare training, and that became the scenario for every major exercise from about 1962 on.
The American public's view of the military was not very positive during the Vietnam War, but since then the appreciation for the military has increased.
The American people, a large amount of them, turned against the war, so therefore some of their dissatisfaction was directed at the men and women in uniform, which was obviously terribly unfair. So we went through a period of time in the 70s and into the 80s that where the Navy wasn't as respected as it deserved to be. The Persian Gulf War, first Persian Gulf War, changed that completely. The dramatic victory that we won in the Persian Gulf War had an enormous impact not only on the restoration of the prestige of the military, but Americans began to look back at those men and women who served in the Vietnam War and tried to express their appreciation and admiration for them in a way that they never had during that conflict. I'll never forget marching in a parade after the Persian Gulf War with other Vietnam veterans and being applauded in a way that I had never seen before. So now our men and women in the Navy have never been more respected, they've never been more admired, and frankly they've never been better. They're far superior in almost every respect that I can think of than when I was in the Navy, and I'm very proud of the people that I served with when I was in the Navy.
In terms of today, I think the forces have performed magnificently in Afghanistan, in Iraqi freedom, and elsewhere around the world where we're on watch. Can you do better? Of course, you can always do better. Insurgency is very, very difficult. Terrorist tactics are a way of war, and they've been a way of war since the beginning of history, and they're very difficult to deal with, but I think our forces are doing superbly well.
The Navy and Marine Corps have changed since the Vietnam War, but one thing is certain. Sailors and Marines continue to stay true to the mission. From the Naval Media Center, I'm Petty Officer Liz Murray.